I'm Jasen Rice. I'm with my company called Lotpop. To give you background, I started in '97 selling off the floor, then started doing internet in about 1998. So about 8 years I was on the retail end, majority of the time running an internet department selling cars through the internet. By 2005 I joined a gentleman named Dale Pollock with a company called Empower Auto at that time. So I was one of vAuto's first employees. Dale would sell it and I would travel and help dealerships train on what was back then Empower Auto, which then converted to vAuto, which I'm sure most of you probably heard about. So for 8 years I was with vAuto, and the last year I was with them, I was the director of the Eastern region. So I had about 25 performance managers that I would travel with them to help them with their concerned accounts or distressed accounts. So what I want to go over here is maximize your used car online marketing. One of the things that I started realizing on my internet experience, always, especially in '98, I mean, there wasn't a ton of people doing internet back then, but we're always doing outside the box thinking and doing things that no one else was doing. So as I was helping dealerships with their used car operations, we're doing things, you know, we started bringing in strategies that no one else was doing. And one of them that I'm going to talk about is one I'm very passionate about, and one that I kind of brought to the industry called flat pricing. I did an article in 2009 in June in Dealer Magazine over this concept, and I'm going to go over it a lot here. So I'm going to go over how to price match, how consumers are searching, how price points affect your VDPs. So before I start, SRPs and VDPs. When I'm talking VDPs, I'm talking these third-party providers, not so much your own website VDP and the Contact Us page, but how do I drive more SRPs, which is search results. How do I get showing up on the list on AutoTraderCars.com, CarGurus, TrueCar, and then VDPs. How do I actually get them to click on my car on these sites that we're spending thousands of dollars on, click on my car and generate leads, okay? And describe how photo and videos increase your VDPs, okay? So let's dig into it. One, I want to start out with, why do we price our cars at $11,998? I've had guys tell me, well, I do it because the competitor's $11,999. I want to be cheaper than a competitor. $12,872. It ends with a 2. It's my second price change. So a lot of guys do bucket strategies. They say price 1 ends in a 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Some people end it in 33s. They just know that that's their price. 88s. I've seen 88s. And they do that. Sometimes they do it because, if it's an 88, it's on my subprime lot. If it's on, ends in a 99, it's on my regular lot, right? So we've probably done those type of concepts before. Or 24,987, just made it look like a number that we put some thought behind it instead of some generic 12.9 number, okay? So they do an arbitrary number just to do it. Now, what this is called psychological pricing. As I stumbled across this flat pricing strategy I'm going to go over, basically what happened, I was telling the guy he was car priced at 12.2, and I wanted him to get below the 11.9 price point to get underneath the 12 grand price point. I started studying pricing strategies, and there's a lot of strategies out there. Buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half off. This is called psychological pricing. And basically what psychological pricing does, consumers will act emotionally, psychological pricing works by selecting a price in which customer will have an emotional reaction. For example, car might be priced at $14,995, then 15 grand. A completely rational customer realizes it's a $5 negotiable big ticket item, but in reality, consumers do not tend to behave rational manner, but they tend to act emotionally and round down prices. So although the price of the car is closer to 15, many customers tend to think 14 range. It's called psychological pricing. Okay, that's the quote. We do that. We do it. I do it when I defend my wife. Like, what'd you buy? How much you spend? Oh, it was only $200, babe, right? But it was almost 3. We round that number down. And believe me, this psychological pricing works. I'm not telling you it doesn't. Print, radio, TV, as long as they see your ad, I would have $19.95 across my windshield, but a flat price online if I can get away with it. So psychological pricing works. I'm not telling you it doesn't, but it's not how customers shop nowadays. So again, going back to print, radio, TV, $19,998. Visually looks smaller, and people will round down. $15,995, $17,995. Again, that works. Point is, they got to see your ad to know it works, okay? But this strategy goes all the way back, $12.75, and introducing the same old idea, Yugo, $39.95. So this is a 100-plus-year-old strategy that we hold on to in the industry, even though everything else is changing underneath us, okay? So we have to get away from that type of strategy and our non-traditional advertising. So today's customers, they're going to go online and they're going to shop by brand or type of vehicle. Okay, I was looking for a Sunday car like a Jeep Wrangler. I still had a budget. I didn't want to spend more than 18 grand. So I went online and I would shop 5 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15 grand. Now it depends on the market. If I go and look for Jeep Wranglers in my market and there's 400 of them, I'm going to narrow it down by my price point, right? If there's only 10, maybe not. If I'm looking for a convertible Beetle, right, then there's probably only 10. They might not have to narrow it down. But majority of the people, and especially think about it in today's market coming out of the 08 recession, a lot of people are so tight on their budget. A lot of people will get pre-approved from their bank. A lot of people are tight on their budget and they look at price points regardless if they know what they're looking for, okay? I knew I wanted the Wrangler, but I would narrow my search down to 12 to 18 grand. I didn't want to miss a nice cheap one, but I didn't want to look at the junk and I didn't want to look at the too expensive ones. Make sense? Okay? But no one's doing a search by 10 grand to 11,998. You know my point? We price 11,998, but they don't search that way. So we got to get away. It's costing you search results, SRPs, okay? Here's why. So this is, again, when I was on a call with one of my dealers, and when I was with vAuto, he was at a 12.2 price point. I said, dude, hold on, we got to get under, you got to get to 11.9. Position your vehicle for the customers that are looking below 12 grand. I said, you're losing a bunch of searches, okay? But what I did, I said, but all we're doing really is eliminating the possibility for that car to show up to the 12 and higher customers. Okay? So if I did move it from 12.2 to 11.9, I've now taken it away from the customers that said 12 to 18 grand like I might have on my Jeep Wrangler search. Make sense? So I'm just positioning it for a different customer. But instead of pricing it at 12,298, from 12,298 to 11,998 to get in that 10 to 12 grand price band, why don't we just change it to 12 grand? So that's why I said on the call, it's like, what if we go to 12 grand? He says, what are you talking about? I'm like, what if we price it at 12? Could we get both? So by doing so, okay, when you price it at 12,000 even, you're going to show up to the 12 and higher shopper and the 12 and less shopper, okay? It's a dynamic that you got to understand that these people are doing, and we're missing the boat so much. So I get both shoppers, 12 and higher and 12 and less. And I'm going to go over why it's better to get the 12 and higher people here in a few than the 12 and less, okay? So this will increase your SRPs. Clients of ours, we do, kind of a consultant on used car operations, get dealers more used car sales. This is the first strategy I implement. If they don't do this strategy, I'm not really going to work with them because I'm so adamant about this strategy. So let me explain to you why. Again, I called it flat-based pricing. As I was looking through all these marketing type trends, there was nothing out there. I was thinking call it even pricing, but obviously $10,002 is an even number. So I just called it a flat pricing. I didn't find anything out there. So basically what I'm saying, if you're at $49.95, raise it to 5 grand. Or if you're at $12,398, need a price reduction, go to 12 grand, okay? I'm gonna emphasize right here, I'm not saying price every car in $12,000 or $1,000 increments. I had a dealer that changed this strategy, and like a month later, I'm calling them, and I'm like, how come you haven't changed these prices of these cars? Well, I'm waiting to drop it $1 grand. I'm like, no, you still need to drop the cars. I do $250 to $500 increments. I'm really big on $500 increments, okay? And I'll explain here why in a minute. But this, I was lucky enough when Dale Pollock was working on his third book called Velocity, Road to the Sale, I think it was. They interviewed me about the flat pricing, and at that time, Auto Trader just bought vAuto out. And Dale's whole point about that transition was to get the data. So as I was going through this interview, the guy was doing the interview for the book, he had all this data that he can back some of my stuff up. So what he did was send me a list. Back then, 2011, Auto Trader allowed customers to type in whatever they wanted in their search, okay? 10 grand was the #1 search over 3 million times. So I put the top 20 on here. And you'll notice anything from 3 grand almost to 20. The only number missing on here is 19. But it's around the 23rd, 24th number. But anything from 3 grand up to 20, and then 25, 30, 35's here. But even odd numbers like 9 and 6 and 7, numbers you wouldn't think customers look for, but they do, 13. You know, and I start thinking, well, how are people looking for 13? One, they might have a budget already in mind, and they think 12 grand car, but they might look up to 13. One reason why I like $500 increments is just a little bit further down the road, you'll start seeing customers type in 7,500, 12,5. You know, these were popping up pretty popular. I'm not thinking, well, why do they do 12.5? Again, it's a 12 grand shopper looking up to 12.5, thinking they negotiate you down. Okay, makes sense? Another reason why I like $500 increments is Auto Trader, they do a price reduction. If you do 2.5% or less, it'll say reduced. So if you got a 20 grand car, you got to drop it 500 to go 19.5, it'll say reduced, okay? So by getting away from psychological pricing, this will increase your search results, flat price your cars, okay? Here's some activity that you'll notice. Again, this is back in 2011, but we changed, this was, and I'm showing you this because this was, again, when we first stumbled across this strategy, we tested a few of his cars to see if it worked. And we've seen charts like this. This black line is a 5-day average in search results, and he was like at 15, he was like at 15.5-ish, 15.3-ish, 15.1-ish. We went to 15 and the spike happened. And we're like, oh crap, this is working. All right. So then we start seeing other trends like this on the July 20th, 2011. We put this car at 10 grand. He was at 12.9-ish, 11.9-ish, 10.9-ish. We went from 104 average at this peak to 640 SRPs per day by putting it at 10 grand. If we would have 9.995'd it, we would have lost all that activity. Huge spike in activity. This was a cool car. Look at this. So this yellow line is the price change. It doesn't look like we changed the price at all, but we know what we did on this 133-day-old truck that sold 8 days later. We raised it $5 from $19,995 to 20 grand, and we went from maybe 80 to 384 SRPs by spiking, and that truck sold like 8 days later, okay? All we did was raise it $5. Didn't look like we did anything at all. So you can see this is his SRPs for the month. In June 2011, we dabbled with a few cars. July, we flipped every car over to flat pricing, and we doubled his SRPs right there alone. Now, the only other way I could do this is if there was more shoppers in the market. Sometimes July does bring more shoppers, or I doubled my inventory. If I went from 50 cars to 100 cars, I can get more SRPs. But this is a per car, SRP per vehicle, VDP per vehicle. Doesn't matter if you had 10 cars or 1,000 cars. You could see from July 1st on up, his SRPs and VDPs per car just took off, okay? Any questions on this? All right, so it's gonna increase your SRPs and it's gonna increase your VDPs, your people actually clicking on your car. If someone does a search for a vehicle 15 to 20 grand, I'm gonna ask for raise a hand. How many people think their budget is closer to 15 grand if they're doing 15 to 20 grand? 2, 3, 4, 5. How many think it's their budget closer to 20 grand? It's about a 50-50, a little bit heavy on the 20. So I usually get about a 50-50% mix. Now you can't tell me if the guy's looking at 20 grand as his budget, if he finds one for 18 or 16, he's gonna buy it, right? So if he can find one for cheaper, they're gonna do it, right? How many people flip low to high when they search for stuff? Books, whatever items online. A lot of people search low to high, and I'm sure the consumer might too. All right, so I believe you're actually getting the 15 to 20. I think their budget's closer to 20, but they are 15, but they look up to 20. They'll go to 20 if they have to, but I'd really prefer to find something at 15. Wouldn't we all, right? So most customers doing a search 10 to 15, budget's closer to 10, but we'll look up to 12, okay? So again, if somebody does 10 to 12 grand search, my 11,998 doesn't show up, okay? But I'm here. Have a budget closer to 10, but look up to 12 grand. Thus, your 11,998 or your 12 grand car will be at the top of the budget, not as appealing as a car's closer to 10. So let me show you. But that customer looks 12 to 15 grand search, where the customer's budget's probably closer to 12, the car will be more appealing. Okay, so hear me out. The 10 and less person, okay? If somebody says 10 to 15 grand, that 10 and less, or that 12 and less person, you're at the very top of their budget. The 12 and less shopper, if they say, my maximum's 12 grand, they're gonna go, nice car, but it's still at the top of my budget. Is there anything less? They're gonna go through the list. If they flip it low to high, you become the cheapest. Now, the person that does 12 to 15, maybe a higher budget shopper, If they flip it low to high, you become the better deal of all of them. And let me show you how that works out. So pricing at 12, it'll appear in both searches, but you're going to get the VDPs for the 12 and higher searching. That car is more appealing to the 12 and higher than the 12 and lower, because the 12 and lower, you're at the top of their budget. You're also going to show up at the top of the search when they do searching high to low, low to high. Let me show you how that works out. If somebody does 12 to 15 grand, Auto Trader, Cars.com, their default is priced high to low. That's their default. So if that 15 grand shopper does or 12 to 15 grand shopper does a search, high to low, if you're at 15 grand, other than these little spotlights, you're at the top of the list. You're the first car that shows up. Okay? It's kind of like a free spotlight. The 14.9 people are below you. You start burying those cars. Okay? So look, here the 15, 15, 15, 15, then 14.999. Guess what search this guy's going to miss out on? 15 and higher searcher. Okay? So 15 to 20 grand, low to high. Guess what car's not here, and which one's the first car again? That car. So if a 15 and 20, so the first shot was, again, 12 to 15 shopper. Here's this car, 13 Ford Edge, 4, right? Go to the 15 and higher guy, look at the first car again. He shows up in both searches. He's at the top and the bottom of both search results. He's more appealing to this shopper when they flip it low to high. It's the lowest priced car in the whole segment. The 14.99 car is gone. He doesn't show up. Make sense? All right. So again, look at this. 15,095, 15,106. We didn't see those cars on the 12 to 15 grand search, right? These dealers missed that searches for $95 or $106. How much is that SRP worth to you? It's not worth the $106. We got to get off our arbitrary numbers. Just because it works for our pricing segment, oh, 33 means that lot, and 88 means this lot, and price 2 means the second price change, that has no way affects how customers are shopping online. It doesn't benefit us when we're spending all this money on these sites, okay? So, any Toyota certified people in here, maybe? All right. Here's how some of these sites work. Auto Trader, Craigslist, eBay, GM certified, Toyota certified, Chrysler certified, Nissan certified. They all have flat pricing buckets on their sites, okay? Your own website, I think this is a Dealer On website or a Dealer.com website. They have buckets on their own websites, and then you can miss a search. If somebody's looking $14,995 and they do 15 to 20 grand, you're out. You're not showing up. Toyota certified, they do $2,500 buckets. So let me show you how this strategy works. I've had dealers that tell me, oh, I've done flat pricing before, it really hasn't impacted us. Let me show you how you can strategically use this to your advantage. Auto Trader, they do $1,000 buckets, okay, till 20 grand. They actually have a drop down now, okay? They have a drop down. They can't type anymore. They got drop downs on the left rail of what customers can do. But after 20 grand, they go 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. After 30, they do 5 grand increments. Okay. Cars.com, people can type in whatever they want it. Okay? So what Auto Trader does is a blank line, 000, to a blank line, 000. Customers can type in what they want. Can't do 500s. Car Gurus is another up and coming. Now I'm doing different colors and I messed it up. But they've been around for a while. But they do $1,000 increments to 10 grand. Then they do 2 grand increments, 12, 14, 16, which again, odd numbers, but it would work on Car Gurus. 18, 20, 22, 26, 28, 30. Let me show you some of the pricing strategies we do with a dealer. We take a car and we'll price it at 26 grand. Let's say that 26 grand is 98% of the market. Priced aggressively to the market. We're going to strategically put it there. It's competitively enough pricing. We know we're hitting a bucket on Auto Trader and Car Gurus. All right? So my SRP should spike. I'm getting the 26 and higher shopper, the 26 and lower shopper. Now it's time for a price change, maybe in 2 weeks, and I drop it to 25.5. Now I'm only doing that to keep the car moving through. But my next goal is 25 grand, because guess what happens? Cars.com spikes because it's a number 4. All of a sudden now, I moved my car from Car Gurus and Auto Trader getting a big spike. I can drop to 25 if I want, but $500 adjustment, then hit 25, and now I got a big spike on cars.com. Now I'm priced probably at 93% of the market. Now guess what? I'm going to 24.5 only to set myself up, if it doesn't sell, to go to 24, and guess where I get my spikes again? Auto Trader and Car Gurus. Why it's sitting here on Auto Trader at 25 grand, I'm going to why I'm spending at 25 grand on cars.com getting the spikes, I'm using my spotlight ads on that car for Auto Trader, because Auto Trader doesn't have a 25 grand bucket. I'm losing SRPs left and right, but if I put my spotlight ad, my spikes SRPs go back up again on Auto Trader. Make sense? You guys know how that works? Okay, so if you understand how these sites work, and if you understand Toyota certified, if I'm at 18 grand, I get big spikes, because what is 18 grand on this list? 18 is what, number 6 on the list here, or 11? 18 grand works on all 3 of these sites. But guess what? I'm going to go and drop at $500 next, and guess what Toyota certified does? They do 12.5 buckets. They do $2,500 buckets, 5 grand, 75, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5, 20, 22.5. So I can price a car at 18 grand, maybe it's a Toyota certified dealer. I'm at 18 grand, I'm getting my spikes on autotradercars.com. No one's bought yet, maybe I'm still a little high priced, I drop at 500, now I'm getting a spike on Toyota certified. So you don't know where your cars are ending up, where these people are searching for them. So by flat pricing them just in $500, making big impacts in the market, your cars start moving. Does that make sense? Some of the real quick proof too. I had some stats again from Auto Trader when I mean this is 4 year ago stats. I don't think things changes. When somebody, this is search parameters, okay? When they said, hey, I want a maximum price, they compared small town to large town, from Spokane to Seattle, Syracuse to New York, Atlanta to Augusta, right? When somebody typed a maximum price, it was about 45% of the customers that typed in a maximum price. Another 20% did a minimum price. That's your spike. When somebody says minimum 15 to 20 grand, my 14.9 car misses that guy. By putting it at 15, I get the both maximum and the minimum. That's my minimum jump. Okay? But look down here, when there's perimeter combinations, when they do make, model, start year, minimum, and maximum price, this is how many searches they actually did. And the one that drove the most was over 4 different searches. When they did minimum and maximum price, you don't see minimum and maximum price up here, but when somebody does minimum, maximum price, they do at least 4 searches. It's the highest than any of these, other than this one down here, which also includes minimum, maximum price. So again, as customers are going back and forth, hey, I want a BMW 5 Series, price here between here. Oh no, well let's go look at the, the Mercedes and price here to here. They go back and forth. Okay, make sense? So that's again some more proof that you're going to get more activity. Anybody look for a house lately? Or a property? Yeah? Did you go look at price bands for houses? No? How'd you search? Oh, okay. But you did, okay, so you just visited the new displays and bought it? I did that too. But if you're looking for housing, so when I first started out, I didn't have a lot of the data back in 2011, but when I introduced it to one of my reps, he said his real estate agent has him do flat pricing too. I said, let me talk to your real estate agent. Let me see if he's got some data for me. So this is going to back up my 12 grand car is more appealing to the 12 and higher than the 12 and less. So when this house, this is all coming from a real estate agent, when it was priced at 205, they changed it to 200 grand. He said on the week of 5/8, okay? So you could see here, when he was at 205, he was getting maybe 300 views a week. As soon as he dropped it to 200 grand, it went up to 600, because now it got to the 200 and less shopper. He was missing the 200 and less shopper, spike in activity. He said, this one you find interesting. We priced at 150 grand. Now take that 150 grand and turn it to a 15 grand car. Then we reduced the price to 145 during the week of 9/5. He would think, you would say, one would think that a 5 grand reduction would help but it significantly reduced the number of online showing as true physical showing. So again, I want SRPs. I want people calling and showing up for my cars. So look what happened. When he was at 150, he dropped at $5,000 and no one was looking at it. Why? Because the 150 and less shopper, it's still at the top of their budget. It wasn't that appealing. When it was 150 and higher, he was getting the 150 to 200. It's the cheapest house in that whole segment. Everybody was calling wanting to see that house. As soon as he dropped that price, it's a nice house, but it's still top of our budget. So that's where my argument comes in. When they say 12 to 15 grand, I think they're 12 and higher, not 12 and lower. That 12 grand shopper, okay? And I'll show it in the VDPs. Oh, and you just sometimes have to flat price a car. You guys ever get stuck with a Suzuki SX4 or a Mercury Mariner or a Saturn Outlook on your lot? Who's looking for those? Who goes to Auto Trader and says, I want a Saturn Outlook? They don't. They say, I want an SUV between 10 and 15 grand or 15 to 20 grand. So some of these cars you just have to flat price. No one's looking for a Suzuki SX4, but there's a ton. Remember, 10 grand was entered in 3 million times. There's more 10 grand shoppers than there are Suzuki SX4s. So some cars you just have, if you don't buy this strategy and flip your whole inventory this way, at least do it on cars like this. No one's looking for Mercury Mariners anymore, okay? So you have to flat price a lot of these cars. All right, VDPs. I'll go through this real quick. Visual direction. As far as photos go, you want to point your photos to the right, not to the left, okay? It's called visual direction. You used to do it in your print ads. You did a print ad, you had payment here, you had the car pointing to the payment. Do the same thing online. When you work so hard on these comments and descriptions in your price and you put your photo to the left, you're visually pulling their eyes away. I didn't believe it. But you know, as I studied marketing and I start looking at it, go, oh crap. You ever buy something and go, hey, no one's got one of these cars, and then you look on the road and all of a sudden everybody's got them? That's kind of this strategy. I'm like, that don't make sense. No one does that. But then as soon as I seen it, I'm like, oh, I see it all the time now. You got to point them to the right. Matter of fact, there was a big dealer group that did a study, flipped one month had cars going one way, another month had cars going to the right, and they had a 7% increase in VDPs by pointing it to the right. Okay? Again, look at these cars that are not flat priced and no one's looking at. They're pointing to the left, wrong direction. So not only are they pricing these cars wrong, they're pulling their eyes away from the description that might talk about how nice the leather and the roof is about it, okay? So you got to fix that. All right, how to drive leads with photos. Prioritize your photos with options. I get a lot of people says, you know, how many photos should I have? I do 100 photos, but let's just say if I'm showing a Dodge Viper and I know I might get bids in California, I'll take 100 photos of that car for the auction, right? For somebody buy it on eBay. But I can't take those same photos and apply it to my Auto Trader package, which might only give me 48 photos, because the first 48 might be all exterior photos. So do as many photos as you can, but see here where we say nav, third row seat, heated leather, customers are gonna click on that, and that's what they're gonna see. But all you have is exterior photos, and they gotta click through. You ever computer lock up or anything? Well, that can happen, right? So you wanna, again, if you're emphasizing third row, rear entertainment, have those goodies at the beginning. Minimize click-through. You know that when you do SEO and SEM. If you do a Google ad campaign for service oil changes, you don't have that ad go to your home page and make people search for it. You make them, point them right to your service coupon. Do the same thing here. Point it. We do a walk around. We reorganize our dealers' photos for them where it's like open the door, sit them behind the seat, show them all the goodies like a walk around. All right? Don't use manufacturer terms. They're costing you search results. Lexus, Infiniti, they call it moonroofs. No one goes to autotradercars.com looking for a moonroof. They look for sunroofs, more likely. But what you do is you want to meta tag it. You want to do both. We do sunroof/moonroof. No matter how somebody searches, just go to cars.com. Go down the bottom, you can search in keywords. Search in sunroof, and then search moonroof, and you're going to get a different set of cars majority of the time. Auto Traders fix this, but think about it. To me, it's a DVD player. To you, it's rear entertainment. To you, it's third row seat. To you, it's 7 passengers. You don't know how customers are searching, so we do rear entertainment DVD player, sunroof/moonroof, navigation/nav/GPS. I rented a car every week from Enterprise. They called it a GPS. I would always ask for navigation in my rental. They go, huh? They call it GPS. So they go home looking for GPS cars, not navigation. I'm losing search results because I got navigation. They're looking for GPS. We got to have both, okay? So look at this car. Now that you know what I'm talking about, look at this ad. Anybody would say this is a great ad. It's got the dealer's banner. It's got great descriptions. Talk about previous one owner. It has Moons and Tunes package leather seats and a good price, right? It's a good ad. But now hopefully you know what I'm talking about. This is totally wrong. Photos pointed the right way, not flat price on a Mercury Mariner, which no one's looking for, and who's looking for Moons and Tunes packages when they type in, right? They're looking for a sunroof. So if somebody says I want an SUV with a sunroof, they're out, all right? And then the photo's pointing the wrong way. So this is totally wrong, how to advertise a car in today's market. All right, do your virtual lot walk. So the other thing we do, and these are fun, I'll go through these real quick. We look at photos, make sure we don't have blurry photos, bad photos, and things like that. We make sure the virtual lot walk is standing as tall as their physical lot. You better be doing this. So look, you guys notice what's in this photo? The jump box. Probably not a good way to sell a car online. This headrest was decapitated. It says down here, soft drink for $1. I'm like, come on, this is a cool car. Get it off the rack. You got a McDonald's sign in the background. It's one of the coolest cars on the road. This is some kind of, it's hard to see because it's black, but it's dirty. This armrest is broken. It's bent down, and there's some kind of, it looks like a convertible rack that you clip that's in there. Oh, this one's funny. So you ever had those comment builders that automatically generate comments? Well, this is a cargo van. It says, stop, read this, hold on your seats. Great for kids. Was engineered to get everybody home safe and sound. I said it's good for kidnapping, but not for kids, right? So, all right, that's that. Who takes a picture of an empty tire well? But we do. All right. This is a $40,000 Jaguar that says brake pads low. Who's buying that car? All right. This is one of the coolest cars on the road, but it looks like it's frowning. That's a deflated balloon string with the deflated balloons. Oh, so this is the best one. So I'm on the call, and it was actually a competitor, and he's being proactive and getting the car online before it's done and detailed. So he's at least trying to get the car out there, right? But this thing's all bent up, scratched up, dented, and down here, the bumper sticker says, at least I can still smoke in my car. That's going to be a hard sell, right? So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you got to walk your virtual lot. So here, flat pricing, increase SRP, VDP. Visual direction gets you more VDPs as you point it to the right, okay? Get the options to the front of the photos. Don't make people dig for that sunroof photo because they want to drive 30 minutes to come see it, but they want to make sure it's got the roof before they visit you. Don't make them go looking for it. And then word your descriptions like customer searches. They might search GPS, they might search nav, they might search navigation. Get that all in your description. Had a Ford guy going, well, if it's a Ford, I put sync for Bluetooth. I'm like, well, no one looks for sync. They look for Bluetooth. So if you're going to have sync, go ahead, but somewhere in that description, bury Bluetooth in there so you get the SRP, so you get the search, okay? There's my info. I think I got 35 minutes long there, right? Anybody have questions? I'm done. I just cleared it. Woo! I went through fast. I'm out of breath. What's that? So anybody have questions? Anybody like my card? Come on up. I'll do this, you know, if you guys want this real quick at your dealership, if you want to convert the flat pricing but you want your team to understand, I'll do a free webinar for you guys.